my whole life changed. And when you talk about your business having a purpose, I'm like, I want my business to be so successful so that I can just like love on these girls.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been cleared for takeoff. You are now flying high with Travis Lamance.
What's happening, Flying High friends? We are excited to be bringing you a new episode. We have a special guest with us today. We have Bernadette Cole with us, and she has worked really hard to build great success within the DMV real estate industry. We are going to have to dive into what this DMV real
Right.
estate means, but we'll get there. Beyond business, she's deeply committed to giving back, supporting initiatives from military to homelessness and human trafficking. Bernadette brings a powerful combination of business excellence, leadership development, and a heart for impact. So we're excited to have you on the show today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's fun. So I can get it off my focus plate here. Let's talk about what DMV means.
DMV, yes, if you're outside of the DMV, we get asked that because a lot of people think Department of Motor Vehicles. I don't have anything to do with that. It is the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So
Right.
It's just kind of abbreviated because it's all right there. And so in real estate, a lot of us are, like I'm a licensed broker in DC, Maryland, and Virginia because I live like within minutes of each of those
Right.
areas, and it all makes up the DC metropolitan area.
So people from that live in that area, that's just the common colloquialism, right? It's
It
just, we're
is.
in the
We
DMV.
lovingly call our little area the
Nice.
DMV,
Well,
DC, Maryland,
That
Virginia.
definitely helps clear it up for me.
Yeah.
When I first got the notes on you, I was like, what is DMV real estate? I was confused.
Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up. So take us back. What first pulled you into the real estate, and what did those early days actually look like behind the scenes?
Okay. So early on, I wasn't really seeking out real estate. I didn't even know that I had a passion or love for it because it started in college. And
Right.
obviously at that age, I don't have any real estate
I don't
yet.
know what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yes. And so I was actually studying for financial planning, financial services degree.
Okay.
And so part of that was that I had to take a real estate course, like Principles of Real Estate, because you have to understand, like for a whole complete financial plan, you need to understand real estate and how that works into it. And so I loved that class.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I'm going to take real estate investment. I'm going to take real estate law. And I start, like, for all my electives, I start taking all these real estate courses because I'm just completely intrigued.
Right.
And then I decide, oh, yeah, I want to do this thing.
Yeah.
And so you've met my husband, and he's military, had an entire amazing military career, which means we were part of that too.
Right.
And
For
so
sure.
we moved around a lot. And so multiple times I decided, oh, I'm ready. I'm going to go do this thing. And life happened. We had another child. We found out we were moving to Japan. So every time I literally met ready to sign paperwork, and we had these major life events that
Right.
prevented it. So we ended up in Japan. And while we were there, the whole time I said, I am going to do real estate. As soon as our feet hit back in the United States, I'm
Right.
going to do it. So when we moved to the DC metro area, I was first like subbing in the school while I was working on getting my license.
Right.
So got my real estate license, had a phenomenal first year in the business. I went to a real estate conference, and they were just talking about the industry, and I'm listening to all these people talk about their business, their success. And I was like, I think 3 to 5 years from now, I'm going to open a brokerage. I was brand new, my first year in the business. And I got back and I was telling somebody, I was like, yeah, I'm like so excited. And I think 3 to 5 years. And they were like, why are you waiting 3 to 5 years?
Right.
And I was like, that's a great question. And I was like, well, because I can't be a broker for at least 3 years. And they were like, well, you can hire a broker. So I was like, problem solved. And so a year and a half in the business, I opened my first brokerage, hired a broker because I couldn't be the broker yet. So I was new to the area. I did it in 2008,
Right.
which was
Right in
not
the
the
big
best time.
housing
Yeah,
crisis,
exactly.
yeah.
Not, yes. And so I learned a lot in that and actually grew through that.
Yeah.
I started, there's opportunities in all markets. That's one of the things that I've learned doing this. There's opportunities in all markets. And so in that market, I embraced short sales when a lot of people didn't want to jump into them, dive into them. I embraced that early on. So I started training in short sales.
So I don't want to interrupt your vibe, but
Yeah.
there's a couple things I want to catch on before
Yeah,
we get
absolutely.
too far along. So when you say you could go hire a broker in the real estate market, can you explain what the difference is between an agent and a brokerage and why you have to wait 3 years?
Yes. So And it's different in different states because some states will call agents broker, like everyone's a broker or whatever. In the region that I'm in,
The DMV.
yes,
That's
in
what they
you
call
got
it. Out
it. You got it. Yes, in the DMV, the broker is the one that oversees all of the licensees. So
Okay.
our agents are independent contractors. They have to be with a licensed broker that's
Okay.
licensed with the state, and then we provide the oversight.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, if you're overseeing agents, they want you to have a certain level of experience.
Right.
And so it is a prerequisite
I got you.
that
So you got to get 3 years of experience as an agent before you can go. Do you have to go take another test for that, or is it?
you do.
Okay.
You do. There's additional courses.
And so is the broker in that context just kind of a quality control to make sure they're not doing illegal things? Is it that side, or is it more on the promotion, marketing, sales side?
You're responsible with the state. Like you're
Okay.
registered with the state as a broker, and it's, again, it's like different in all the states. I'm a licensed broker in DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and we had agents in all those areas, and I had offices in multiple states.
Okay.
So
And then you mentioned the word short sell. Can you explain to anyone that's listening
absolutely,
what
absolutely.
is a short
So during
sell?
that, we still see short sales, but during that crisis, what happened was, if you remember, a lot of property values like went skyrocketing before the crash, and then they tanked.
Right.
And so someone may have paid like $500,000 for a property, which is now worth, $400,000,
Right.
and now they have to move, or they've also lost their job and they need to downsize. Like life still happened during that, and so a lot of people were upside down in properties, and so we would have to get third-party permission from the bank. And the bank would have to agree to a short sale, which meant they were going to take less than the value.
I got you.
And it still happens.
So the bank's
like,
going to take a loss on it because they have the mortgage at a higher rate than
Yes.
whatever you're selling it.
Yes. And when it first happened, no one was expecting it. So I met this amazing group that was out of Austin, Texas. And Austin had gone through the dot-com bust before
right.
that. And so they had done short sales, analyzed short sales, met with FHA, met with banks. They put a whole process together. So I mentored with them, became a trainer. I started training other agents to do it. It helped my brokerage have an advantage. The other thing that we did is I did acquisitions during that time. And so you have people that have been in the business for a while, and real estate comes and goes in cycles. That was a huge hit. And so we had, brokers who didn't want to ride out another
Right.
cycle.
They're like, I'm done with this.
Yes, or they were not positioned because just like we talked about the prices skyrocketing, real estate was booming. And so a lot of times when you've got that big money flow coming in, you sometimes create bigger expenses.
Right.
And then if the rug gets ripped up underneath you,
Hard to
sometimes
tighten the
it's
belt
hard to,
back
yes,
down.
exactly. Sometimes it's hard to adjust. And by the time you get there,
Yeah.
So I did a bunch of acquisitions during that time, which grew like I was growing when a lot of companies were not.
Right.
Eventually, we ended up with, in our peak, we had over 300 agents
Yeah.
between 3 different offices.
That's crazy.
And like one of the larger acquisitions I did was like a 55-person office.
Nice.
And that was also like during that time, and it was like 2 guys who were like ready to retire, and
Yeah.
people weren't really throwing cash at buying companies at that
Right.
time. We worked out a great deal. It was a great deal for their agents, and then we tripled the size
Holy
of
cow.
that office. Yeah, like during
During all that crisis
yes,
going on. Huh?
yes, and so
The fact that you were new at that time turned out to be a bit of a blessing. Then it sounds like that you didn't have the
Exactly.
baggage of what was before that, and you're coming into it and taking advantage of these situations.
yes,
And
yes, and I was super lean because
yeah,
I was just
just
opening.
get going. Yeah.
Yes.
So you hadn't had
Yes,
time
and
to get bloat.
it helped us grow so quickly because, like, one of the first acquisitions was by like an office that was like 20 people, but instead of bringing in people one by one,
Got
about
whole
20
chunks.
people, coming in at once, which is helping me to like survive during that time as well.
So at what point did you realize that you weren't going to just do real estate, but you were going to lead and build an empire like this? Like, was there a moment that you realized that was going to happen?
I really think I had my aha moment at that convention. I've always been very entrepreneurial. And so I was working in sales and in sales management prior to that in various industries because we were moving around during that time. And like I loved working with individuals. I loved like having that collective goal, pulling together. And then I'm like, okay, what's the goal? Oh no, we're going to go way past that. And, just like high performing in sales. So I love that part of it. And then I told you I had that passion for real estate.
Right.
So it was at that convention while I'm listening to all these people, I'm like, this really combines everything. Because I was new to real estate and I was just still learning what it was.
Right.
Like in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm going to go sell a bunch of properties, not realizing, wait, I can do the thing that I love, which is the sales management, and combine that with the selling of properties and start helping other people to do that and excel at that. And so in that moment, I'm like, this is going to be perfect for me. And that's why I just had the realization there that that's really what I wanted to do. So it's very early on in my real estate career. And I didn't get the real estate license thinking I want to go open a bunch of brokerages and work with all these agents. I did it just because I was intrigued. I wanted to invest. I loved everything about real estate. I wanted to learn like everything. And so it was definitely at that convention, like hearing people speak. And sometimes like, we're at the convention now, or the conference that you guys are having. And sometimes being in a place like that really gives you moments of clarity. And you're away from all the day-to-day stuff. Like I just so recommend that people experiencing that, because I also got to hear other people's stories, and I'm like, I could see myself doing that. I'm hearing all these amazing things that they're doing. I'm like, I could totally see myself doing that.
It's very inspirational when you're getting around other people that have a similar passion to what you have, and figure out you're not the only one that feels that way.
Yes, and in an environment like this, you get to see how people are doing it differently, because it's like, oh, this person's doing it like this and this person's doing it like that, and I love that. And you
can take away a lot of good tricks for your own situation and apply them to your deal.
Absolutely.
When you guys lived in Okinawa, what was that period of your life like? What did it?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. So first of all, it was very nostalgic for my husband because he's a pilot as well, and I knew his story, and it started in Okinawa, and where he got his excitement watching the SR-71 take off, from Kadena, seeing the blue lights, and he tells the story, and I could totally visualize it. Yeah. And he would tell me where he would sit and watch it happen, and so
about the big mountain.
Yes, exactly. That's which we had to go. We were on the plane, we had flown from Florida because we went to visit his parents first. We had flown all the way to Seattle. Yeah. And then Seattle to mainland Japan, to Yokota, and then to Okinawa. So we had been on this plane with 3 kids, forever. And I'm I just want to go to the hotel and just fall into the bed and, and he's like, wait, I want to show you. I'm like, no, not right now. He's like, no. He's like, it's right here. But that was one of the first things he showed us.
That's hilarious.
Was the hill, which he made it kind of sound like a mountain, and it was not. It was literally, I was like, that's it. But yes. And so having the experience in Yokota, I told you I love the sales and all that stuff. So I was actually working with a telecom company based out of the U.S., and I was the island rep for our service members to be able to call back home at a lesser cost than if they were originating calls there. Gotcha. So I would do all sorts of events, run ads, and sign people up and get them connected to this company back in the U.S. So I was still doing that whole entrepreneurial side of me, the whole loving the sales piece to it. So I was doing that on the island. It was an incredible experience. I've always loved to travel, and it's been something that we've always done as a family, and we've created so many incredible memories as a family. Yeah. When we talk, our kids will talk about the trips and stuff. And so being in Japan, I took advantage of that completely. We went to Singapore, we went to Korea, we went to Tokyo. I took the kids to Tokyo Disney.
Wow.
Yeah. Just... There's a whole lot more other places. We went everywhere that we could. which was an amazing experience for the children
Yeah.
to see and experience other cultures, to see and experience what it's like. Like, every place that we went was not wealthy countries, and so they got to see how other people lived and
A little more appreciation.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. We laugh because our kids are all adults now, and like I remember my son having the realization of all these trips and all these things I got to experience and see, and he was like, he was like, it's really cool that we did all that, but at the time, he's like, I appreciate it now, but at the time, all we really cared about was the pool.
Right.
So-
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Do they have a pool there?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and does it have a slide?
Yeah, that's our
Yes.
number one question
Yes.
with our kids currently is there a pool?
Yes.
It's funny how much kids love pools.
I know. But now, like later on, they do
Yeah.
appreciate the things that they were exposed to and what they
Yeah.
got to
Yeah,
experience.
the value is felt now that they're an adult.
Yes.
So, like in the early years of the real estate, what were some of the biggest like struggles or doubts, or what were some of the hardships early on in the real estate?
Well, definitely starting in that market was a little challenging.
Yeah.
And at first, I didn't really have a mentor. So
Gotcha.
I understood sales in other industries. And so I just pulled some of those things and I'm like, okay, like I was so used to like tracking my numbers and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to track my numbers, but I'm just going to pull everybody else's so one of the very first things I did was I looked at the other people in my market and I'm like, okay, who's at the top? How many agents do they have and what kind of volume are they doing?
Right.
And so I had a spreadsheet and I would pull every month, and it actually helped me with the acquisitions because I could see like if this company went from 50 agents down to 35, down to 25, I'm like, I need to have a conversation
Yeah.
with that person
Something
because
going on there.
yeah, like is this an opportunity that we could like pull together and do like a merger? Would they want to be acquired? I had a lot of leverage in that market. We talk about Alex found a place to sell phone systems because we would inherit people's phone systems, like all
yeah.
these extensions. And
For
so we
sure.
found a place like when we would do an acquisition, we could resell the phones.
Yeah.
We could, I had so many copier leases, but I would just factor it into the cost of the acquisition. It's like, so we had like extra copiers because no one could get out of their copier lease. But during that time, I think one of my personal biggest struggles is like sometimes people would tell me like what my competition was saying about me.
Right.
And everybody knew that one, I was new to the area
Right.
because we had just relocated there where you had a lot of people who like they grew up there. They knew everything about the area. They knew everybody. They had all the connections, So there were, sometimes I would hear things and then also like at the time, like my age, because I was younger than a lot of the brokers. And I was also one of the few female brokers. And so I think sometimes I would kind of like hear those things and I'd be like, yeah, I really don't have that much experience.
Right.
And I really don't know this or that or that, and
Let them get inside your head. Huh?
yeah, for a minute.
Yeah.
And then I had this realization like, you know what? All those things are true, but two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
I have probably more experience than almost all of these brokers when it comes to sales management because I've been a sales manager for so long. Like the things that I learned like in business, and not only that, I have like a proven track record
Right.
of what I can do, like with people, working with people, helping them to achieve their goals, which helps the collective goal. I'm like, I got this.
Yeah.
But I did have to, I struggled with that.
Yeah.
I struggled, like we talked about it in other things about like how we disqualify ourselves. There were definitely times where I felt,
Yeah.
and you're facing the struggles of just a completely different
For sure.
market. One thing I did have in that market is I didn't know any different. I wasn't part of the big,
Right.
but it was all new to me. So definitely not having that, like the experience in the real estate world, I would sometimes kind of like start to like listen to that and be like, oh yeah, maybe that is true. And, but then I'm like, wait a minute. And I would go back. And then I also realized that as long as I wanted to be in real estate, the route that I ended up getting there like actually prepared me to be able to jump in and go straight to the broker route because I had all the experience in sales. I had done it in multiple industries and I would learn to take it from one industry into the next industry. And then I was able to do that in real estate.
Right.
So it just, I realized that I was being prepared for that moment.
It's
And
funny
so,
how often I hear this from people that we talk to is like they feel like they're getting pushed off their path and off their path and off their path, and all of a sudden this thing
yeah,
happens, and you're like, "Oh crap,
wait a
that
minute.
that all happened for a reason." Like that,
Exactly. Ooh, that gave me
it's
chills.
so yeah. I
Yeah,
hear
it's so
that.
true.
It's true
Yeah,
in my case, and it's
yeah,
true in a lot of other ones, and I think I would just like our audience to understand that if you feel like you're being drawn off your path, that maybe you are, but
yeah,
oftentimes there's going to be an event that
yeah.
triggers, and all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, that's why I had to go climb that mountain, and that when I'm trying to go to the beach and they got me climbing a mountain, what the heck?
Right,
And
exactly.
yeah, and all of a sudden it all
Yeah,
ties
or going to
together. So
Japan.
yeah, going to Japan,
Yes.
exactly. I can't
Yes.
sell real estate in Japan very
Yes.
well, so. So you had mentioned that early on there you didn't have any mentors. Did you eventually find one
Oh,
and,
yes.
and get a mentor that kind of help
Absolutely.
shape the way you do things?
Absolutely. So when I first became a broker, at one of the very first like broker, it's kind of like a class that you go to with the brand that I was with. It's like several days. I met, at the time she was the president of the company, and then she went on to CEO. I met her, and we just kind of she sat with me and we had lunch, and I had never met her before. We had this great conversation. She's amazing. She's broken world records in the real estate world, several of them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them still haven't been broken.
All
And
right.
so she was one of the first people that believed in me, and believed in me before I had built the company
Right.
to what it was, and believed in me so much that she started coaching me.
Nice.
And so I would have these little calls with her, and this is fairly early on. So it was wonderful to be encouraged. And there is something about somebody believing in you
Mm-hmm.
before you have it all together, and before you
Yeah.
really realize that
Before you believe in yourself all
yes,
the
before
way.
you
Yeah.
believe in yourself, and before you have that potential. So Tammy Bonnell is the person. She's like she was the president at the time, and then she went to CEO, and now she's like co-chair of the board for a real estate brand. And
Nice.
she really poured into me, and it helped me. It made a difference. She was huge in mergers and acquisitions, and so I learned a lot from her. And one of the things that she really did for me was when I told you about the 55-person acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
She was on a trip somewhere on the East Coast. She lives on the West Coast. She's on airplanes all the time. She's traveling.
Right.
And she called me up because she knew I was doing the acquisition, because I've been, like, I've been talking to her back and forth, just trying to make sure that I've got everything all in place so that it's smooth and we keep as many people as we can, which we did.
Yeah.
And she offered to fly to be there when I made the announcement.
Wow.
And again, it's like you have someone that believes in you before you really,
Right.
know that you're capable, and before you're really fully believing in your potential. And so that was just incredible, amazing. And her encouragement, her belief all along
Mm-hmm.
was just, I mean, I'm just so grateful for that,
Yeah.
because it really helped. And
It's phenomenal.
yeah,
It's amazing how impactful someone just having a little bit of belief in you and a kind word and
yeah,
a little encouragement can go on stuff like
yes,
that. And you're our world's plumb full of people trying to knock you down and not let you win and tell you why you can't do it. And it takes a lot of fortitude internally to keep yourself on it. And then you get that one little voice out there helping it. It sure goes a long ways. So
it does. It really does.
yeah. So any of our people out there watching, you need to be the one helping, encourage. Don't tear them down. Cheer them on and help
That's
them
so
and
true.
push
And
them the right
there's,
way.
yeah, so many times you don't even realize that
Yeah.
when you take that time to just encourage someone, that sometimes it's the thing
Yeah.
that gets them through whatever the challenge is in that moment. You don't even know.
For
So
sure.
it's so important for us to do that as leaders, to make sure that we can continue to encourage.
When and how did you begin to leverage industry adjacent businesses to expand the services that you offer?
First, my first thing was like building like the offices, and one of the things that started to happen is like things really started to shift in our industry, like as far as the way that commissions work in our industry is that the broker gets a portion of it and then the rest goes to the agent. And as more and more was going to the agents, it changes, and we have huge overhead as brokers, especially the brokers that have like brick and mortar. You've got locations, you've got rent, we have to have errors and omissions for
Lots
like
of
the
copier
whole,
leases.
lots of copier leases, yes. And so like all of that monthly overhead is
Right.
just insane, and you're getting smaller and smaller pieces of the pie.
Right.
And so we started to look at other services, title, mortgage, and all sorts of other relationships. So it's kind of like what our industry has gone to now.
So whenever you originally started, it was just brokerage, and now you do the title work, and like what
We've had
are
a
the little
title,
verticals in there?
Yep. So there's title. A lot of brokerages will end up going into a partnership, opening a title company. There's also mortgage. So there's other things that we provide for the agents that we're able to, like other services, and like we can bring in like transaction coordinators, and there's so many things that happen in the transaction that we are able to bundle.
So do you guys really just look at yourself, your client is the agent, and then you do everything you can to make yourself easy for the agent to use you?
Yes. So our client is the agent and their client is the customer,
Right.
the consumer. And so our job is to support them, to help. It's really different. Like, first, I just want to say it is not like TV. We do not go out one time and show 3 properties and go
Right.
have coffee and sign a contract and get a big check. That is not how this works.
That's how
And
TV says
it
it
is how
works.
TV, and it's been saying it for years. It does not work like that. It does not. So,
I know I've never bought a house like that.
no, me neither.
Yeah.
Yes, but people watch that
Yeah.
and think that it's that easy, and sometimes it makes them want to get into this business.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, I can do that. I can go show 3 properties and have coffee and sign a contract. So yeah, it does not work like that. But gosh, I forgot the question because we were talking about the.
So you're basically just trying to make everything as
who
easy
we're
as
serving.
possible for the agent.
We're serving the agent, and so. And all brokerages do that different. Some brokerages, like you hang your license here, you're a 1099, you're an independent contractor, go do your thing, don't get me in trouble, and bring me the money.
Right.
That's some brokerages. That is not who we are.
Right.
So I have taken like all of that experience, and I want to serve the agents. So, and in order to do that, I have to know who they are, what it is that they want to get out of this business, because a lot of people get into the business for different things. Like some people might just want to, take a couple trips, pay for some college, right? And then other people might, this is like everything. This is my whole, exactly. So we kind of have to know who they are to know how to serve them. But as a broker, that is our job, is to support and serve them so that they are achieving their goals.
So as you've built multiple offices across different states, what's the difference between running a business and truly leading people?
Doing the acquisitions is kind of what put me in the position, because I was talking to so many people, and then people were also reaching out to me. And so I acquired a company that was in another state, in Virginia. And one of the things that happened with the acquisitions is that we had to learn how to scale. And so that requires like getting our team together, trying to figure out, and that became one of our advantages, is that I could go into a company and I could pull a lot of stuff into the systems and stuff that we created. But in having that distance, I also needed other people to support me. And as we got larger, it's like if I'm the only one, then they're not going to feel supported. So I needed to start building my staff, my support staff. And that's one thing that I've had, funny, we just did a post like welcome back, and we welcomed back like 4 agents, and I just signed another one that came back because of all the things that we've built and the support that they receive, that they've gone other places and realize that they don't have that same level of support that we've built, and they've come back
Yeah.
because of
The
that.
grass wasn't greener, was it?
Exactly. But that really pushed me as far as a leader,
Yeah.
because now we're building a team, we're expanding to more, more employees, more
Yeah.
staff, and making sure that we have systems in place. And it really shifted what I was really looking at.
For sure.
So,
Well, thank you. We are running into some time constraints. As you guys know, we're recording at the King Air Gathering this week, so we are going to cut it a little bit short with Bernadette at the moment, and we will be back with part 2 here in just a little bit.
Hey guys, we'll get back to the video in a sec, but first, quick question for you business owners and high achievers watching. When you're traveling around the country for deals, scaling teams, or managing stress, are you actually flying with a team that makes your life easier? Or are you dealing with scheduling headaches, surprise maintenance bills, and too many moving parts behind the scenes? Well, that's why today's sponsor, Haven Aviation Services Group, exists. Think of them as the safe haven of the sky. Haven is a vertically integrated aviation company, meaning they handle everything under one roof. From your private jet charters, aircraft management, brokerage, maintenance, avionics, and premium grade services at their FBO. For aircraft owners especially, this is the absolute real best value. Instead of juggling pilots, insurance, scheduling, maintenance, hangars, legal docs, Haven manages it all in one place. No guessing, no surprises, and no wondering why something suddenly costs 6 figures. Their entire focus is transparency, safety, and long-term planning. So you actually trust the people managing your aircraft and don't have to stress about it at all. So if you want an aviation partner that operates with the same discipline and results-driven mindset we talk about on the show, hit the link in the description to connect with Haven Aviation Services Group. Big thanks to Haven ASG for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get back to the show.
All right, welcome back to part 2. We're going to continue on our conversation with Bernadette here. So we were just talking about you expanding into multiple states and moving into multiple markets. Beyond that, how has your leadership had to evolve from the time you had your first agent to where now you have multiple agents, multiple markets?
that's been quite the journey.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's a whole lot easier when it's like to support when you have one and they
Yeah.
can get all your time. As we grew and as we had acquisitions, we would have to make sure that we balance new people coming in feeling like they're part of the group, as
Right.
opposed to the people that have been there for a while, and the people that have been there for a while not feeling like all of our attention or that they're being left out. So
Right.
there was a little bit of navigation every time like we brought in group, but also just because of the amount of people, we would have to go back and evaluate like our processes and what we were doing, because like we found like the more people we had, some of our systems needed to be updated, improved so that we could handle that number of people. We had to restructure people, and we started to look at that ahead of time instead of trying to adjust after when we were,
Right.
because it was always a process. You don't know what you don't know until you do
Yeah.
it. And so from every experience, we learned from it, and it made each experience easier
Yeah.
to transition into.
Kind of like bringing a new kid into the house, right?
Yeah.
You got one of them's feeling left out because they're not getting as much attention, and the other
Yes.
one's attention hungry, and you got to
Yes.
make them feel welcome. It's quite a balancing act.
It is.
It takes some real skill to navigate that effectively, for sure.
It is. And now so it's just like one big happy family.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you're a certified mentor through John Maxwell and Brian Buffini. What core leadership principles do you actually live by daily?
One of the things I love about both of those, and like one of the things that I was drawn to, is that they both stress servant leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And so they both are very spiritual. So they also bring in, just some different values and experiences. And I was drawn to both of them for that reason, but mostly the servant leadership. Like I had kind of evolved my leadership.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when you're first getting into being a leader, you don't really understand, or at least I didn't. I thought leading was more like telling people what
Right.
to do, right? Like, I'm just going to tell you what to do, and then it'll make your life
And then you do
easier,
that,
whatever.
yeah.
Exactly. And so as I was evolving and learning what true leadership was, they both come from the philosophy. Buffini a lot of it has to do with how you're treating your clients, but it's like serving your clients, giving them things of value. And Maxwell, leading organizations, it's very much about serving the people. And so I was already kind of understanding that in my own journey, and bringing those two coaches and their programs into our business really helped just elevate and accelerate that.
I'm not real familiar with Buffini, so I'm going to have to go check him out and do some studying. But John Maxwell, we spend a lot of time on Maxwell and you know, his laws books, his 21 irrefutable laws and all that. And I'm a huge fan of his philosophies, and a lot of his stuff has made its way into core tenets and core pieces of our business. And I've never went to any of the schools or any of that that's directly under Maxwell. What's the process like to become a mentor?
It's an event that you go to, and I did the one like that was like speaking, and like, so I've done some of the masterminds and stuff like that. He now has like a DISC certification, which we are huge proponents and use DISC. So that's something that I'm interested in doing with them as well. But it's a multi-day event, and you're set up in groups. You actually prepare, like in the group, you're given topics that you speak on. You get to understand like their process, what they do. It's an incredible, very immersive opportunity. And then there's just an incredible amount of resources that you're given, and you can kind of take it a lot of different ways. There are people that speak that are Maxwell speakers. There are people that do like the masterminds and host the masterminds, and all of that content is available to you. So it's a lot of great resources for people that are leading organizations or individuals, or that just want to improve their leadership skills.
At what point in someone's career or journey do you think is a good time for them to go and start participating in something like that?
I think anytime for something like that, like anytime in your journey, yes. I think it's also one of those things, like I want to go back to another event. There's a lot of things like, so sometimes when we're introduced to something early on, we get something different out of it. And I think this is one of those things that no matter where you are in your leadership journey, it is going to help accelerate you. But we know that it is a constant, continuous journey. And so when you have worked through some things, and when you go back, even if you're hearing the same content, I'm going to pick up on different things because it's like, okay, I've incorporated that, I'm doing that, I've worked on that. And then there's these things that I didn't even hear the first time because I was so focused on the few things, because we can't retain it all. And we're growing. And so we hear different things. There's some conferences that I've gone to, and like a lot of the content, like the first time I went, I picked up on something totally different because of where I was in my journey. But
I can't tell you how many times I've done that personally, like reading a leadership book, and then you go back and read it a year later, and you're like, how did I not? Oh, and you're just in a different headspace, and you pick up different things. And a lot of those conferences and a lot of their associated books and everything, you can do them 10, 15 times and get a whole different experience every
and whatever
time.
I also like with the books and stuff like that, wherever you are, like whatever problem you're trying to solve at that time, or whatever like growth challenges that you're working through, sometimes when we go through that, it's like, oh, I read this before, I knew this, but there's my answer. You know, so
just need the refresher, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, I've read I don't know if you've heard of the E-Myth, but I read that one.
I love the E-Myth.
Yes, I read it. We're actually about to read it again with like our group, because we were talking about it, and a bunch of my agents have read it with me a couple times. We're going to do it again.
Yeah, we have a company book club, and we read all these different books and do all that. And the E-Myth book is one of them that, for me, just resonates so deeply on building a business.
It is definitely one of the ones that, like, exactly what I was talking about, where at the first time I read it, there's certain things, and I didn't even hone in on the other things. And now it's like I read it again. So it's like every time I read it, there's some new treasure in there that applies to what I am doing at that moment. So
that's funny. That book, the guy that first introduced me to it, he's built a very large franchise business at this point. And watching him, he, like, his copy of the book, like, everything's dog-eared and highlighted, and like it's all beat up, and that guy has actually lived that book. And he went from wanting to build a business to where now he's built an empire of these huge franchise businesses. And for those franchise businesses, they're required to have all these systems and processes and repeat experiences and all the things he talks about in there. So it's been really fun for me to watch him embody that whole book all the way through, and
That's amazing.
it's pretty fun to watch.
It was a big inspiration when I was telling you about the short sale, the training. The trainers read that book, and it inspired them to put all the systems in place that they were training on. Yes. That's actually where I heard about the book, was neat. From them, like all those years ago. So I was pretty early on in my career.
You had mentioned the disc profile stuff a minute ago. How do you guys use that within your company?
A lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So I've taken it multiple times, and over the years, as I have grown as a leader, things have shifted a little bit. I am a very high D, very high I, like off the charts. And when I first got into the business, my I was higher, but like the more we expanded, the bigger we got, the more of the D that came into the picture. Yeah. So, but we use it like personally, and like within our leadership group, we all understand who's what personality. So it helps us with communication. And my brother is one of my business partners, and he's very opposite of my personality profile, which is a great, it's a great mix for business. And so, but it's helpful that I know that he needs more details, and he's our systems and processes person because he has a lot of the C personality. Yep. So he's very organized and thinks completely different. Even in our personal relationship, like my husband and I, we're also very different. Right. He, if you heard him talk, he's a pilot, so he's all the checklist and all the,
Very C.
And so one thing that I've learned is that when I'm trying to process things, I can get their perspective, because like a lot of times I'm in problem solving mode. I'm like the bigger picture visionary person. And so I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. So I'm giving them this big high level picture. This is what I want to do, and I want it to be like this. How do I do that? And they help me fill in the blanks. Like I give them the bullet points, and then they give me everything that goes underneath that. So it helps in our relationship as our leadership, my partners. It helps in my personal relationships. I know some people like use it for their kids. There's even books about that, but also like our staff. So when I am under pressure, or we've been talking about this event, I have to put on events as well. So like I'll have my staff, I'll do all this stuff. And like, if I'm not thinking, I'm coming in and I'm looking at it going, did everything get done? Does anything need to be done? And sometimes I'm like, needs to be done. I can say that to another D personality, and they're like, boom, we're going to get it. We're going to take it. But I have some S personalities that if I say that, they're like,
they go into their little turtle shell.
Mad at me. She didn't even say hello. So like, it makes me like understanding who works with me. It helps me to be like, okay, hey, how are you? Everything looks amazing. So I will change the way that I say things, and I will make sure that I acknowledge the things that they need because that personality is different. So, and then one of our other partners, he is like the super high D. So since I have a lot of the I, he's like, you go take care of that. He's like, I don't want to make him cry. You go do it. So, but I also have to be, because my D is so high, I also have to be a little bit aware of that sometimes.
Yeah, it's easy to become a bulldozer when you got a lot of D if you're not. And we've trained our agents. We've had a lot of courses and classes for our agents. So they use it in their business to understand their customers, to understand their sellers, and to identify who's the decision maker, who's, so that they can talk to, like, especially if you have like a husband and wife with different personality, they can talk to both of them in the way about the things that are important to them. They can also write descriptions, because a lot of times we do things based on our personality. Right. So if I'm an I personality and I'm talking about a property, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's going to be so fun, and you're going to love it. You're going to have all these amazing parties and just, and like a C personality is like, well, what about the construction? Do I have warranties? Do I have, they want to know all the details. Like how safe is this? How, and so you can write descriptions. And like each paragraph or each sentence in there can be for a different personality type, so that you're hitting them all. Or you can just do 4 completely different ones. So, so it's useful, like kind of in
all different scenarios.
And used incorrectly, it can be highly manipulative, but used correctly, that's how you best service your client.
Absolutely.
You can really cater things to the way that they understand and the way they
Yes,
process information.
yes.
And once within your teams, once you know who you're dealing with, you can craft your email, your communication, everything to make sure that they're understanding what needs to happen. And yeah,
It's an amazing tool.
valuable
And like
tool.
you said, when it's used correctly, and you know, as real estate professionals, we're helping people with, most of the time it's the biggest purchase someone makes in their life,
Right.
whatever they're spending on their home. That's a big decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to give you the information that's relevant that you need to make that decision.
It's such a large decision that D's might actually need more than one sentence.
Yes. Yeah, and they're probably not going to want to know all the details. They're going to want you to bullet point that for them. Yeah.
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 You might have to break it up to
Yes.
2 sentences.
And
for 'em.
also like understanding that it's going to, it's going to be a process with a couple, like the S's and the C's.
Right.
It's going to be a little bit longer of a decision. Your I and
Yeah.
your D are usually quicker decision makers.
For sure. How do you create a culture where people don't just produce but actually grow?
So that's something, again, that's kind of developed over time. The biggest thing about growth is pouring into the individual.
Mm-hmm.
So again, going through like what you're taught in business and even like a lot of what I learned in sales, like in different cultures, it was so much about the numbers.
Right.
And it's not really teaching them a technique to close more or whatever, It's like, yes, of course, we're going to teach techniques and help them with skills and stuff like that. But really, growth comes from when we are building people and when we are pouring into people to just really help them discover who they are.
Right.
And so helping someone get clarity around who they are and what they want to do, which it sounds like a simple question, like I know who I am and I know what I want to. Really, when you start to dig in,
Lots of layers.
Yes, exactly. And it shifts and it changes. And there's so many things that can impact what we think and what we say. And so really by focusing in on the individual and just helping them to become who they were designed to be,
Right.
that is really how you get productivity.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's the personal growth and it's helping someone discover who they are and how to express it in their business.
Yeah. The productivity is a byproduct for sure.
Yeah.
If you do it correctly. So
Exactly.
It's
Exactly. Yep. And culture helps with that as well. Like I've worked in organizations where everybody showed up and everybody went home and there was no real culture. There's no
punch the
camaraderie.
clock. Yeah.
It just touches my heart to see our agents celebrating one another, whether it's actual business things happening and they know the personal things that are happening and they're sharing and they're celebrating, and that makes a difference as well. Because you
Absolutely.
feel like you are part of something, or you actually are part of something that's bigger than that.
When we spend as much time with our coworkers and people at the business as we do with our family. So
We do.
it has to be more than just money.
Yeah.
I mean, to me,
It does.
it's got to be more than money.
It does. And, in that development with the agents and really digging into who they are, I'll do like these one-on-ones. And in that, when you start creating a business that is actually the expression of who somebody is, what they care about, what they love, it doesn't become like this job I gotta go to.
Right.
It becomes like, oh my gosh, I get to do this. I love this and I want to run to this, and like this like sets my soul on fire. I just want to be there every day because I know that in that I am expressing who I am. And then the agents are like serving people and they know like my business has a purpose. And so when your business has a purpose, that's something you want to run to. That's something you want to build.
Right.
That's something that the result of it is going to have impact. It's going to change lives. It's going to create legacy, whether that's for your family or whoever, whoever it is that you're passionate about helping.
And And it gives them a place to build their legacy within.
Yeah.
So there's the overall legacy, and then it's the environment where they can build their own legacy within your structure that you've provided to them. And it's pretty
Yes.
fun to be able to do that. So
It is. It's amazing.
yeah. Well, you've been recognized as Broker of the Year and built the top 1% brokerage. What did that success cost you personally?
Oh, that's a good one. Again, such a big journey. I think there's like definitely moments of like disappointment and feeling like, there were definitely struggles during that time. And so feeling like you're not successful and just like dealing with those emotions, trying to get out of that so that you can like push forward. I think one of the things would be like with family. I remember after I was doing this for a while, things were like really tough. And so I'm constantly wanting to solve the problems and stuff. And we had kind of talked earlier about vacation and how important that is. And that's something like I would do my vision board every year, and we'd have like this little family meeting. We'd figure out where we were going. It would go up on my vision board that these are the places that we're going to go. And I had this one year where like we always had like a summer trip, and we are like right at the summer, and I don't have anything planned, and because of things that were going on in the business. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, I can't have this. I have to find a way that the things that are important to us don't get lost in going, achieving and like growing the business and going after things. And so there's been several moments like that where it's like, where I have to reflect and, make adjustments. And so we still ended up having vacation. We still ended up having the great time, but it was very eye-opening for me. I think that, and then I also think that there have been times where I was not taking care of myself first. I've got all these things. And so like a lot of times we do this call every Monday morning, and sometimes I'm telling him like, you got to take care of yourself. I'm like, okay, that's for me too. Like, yes, because I think sometimes when you're building something, you're growing, you're like, I'll get to it. And then the next thing you know, a week has gone by, weeks have gone by, and we're no good to anybody as leaders if we're not taking care of ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so I think those are probably like the struggles, making sure that we keep everything in balance, so the things that are important to us, like as a couple, as a family, and just like all of those values, that we keep sight of that. Because two things can be true. We can do both of those things. And then also definitely making sure we take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
So
during all those successful times, has there been a point or a time whenever you're getting all these accolades and everything successful, but that didn't align with how you felt internally?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I can answer that one. Yes, for sure. Those have always been, like, I realize it now. You don't realize it when you're in the moment, because you're like, oh, that's great. I'm getting all these awards. And I would say the first thing is, like, I remember the first time that we got recognized as top 1.5% in the nation. And we got the little thing, and it was like, it gave you like some details and stuff. And I remember we were like, oh my gosh, what are the other, like, what are the other 98.5% doing? It's like, because we still have to do this, and because you're so critical of, what's not working or what's not at its best, that sometimes you don't always realize that,
there's a lot that's good.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, wow, and it's a great feeling. But even in that moment, I'm like, man, if you had asked me before we got that, I would have been like, oh, we have so much more work to do. We have all these things that we need to do and get better at and do, not realizing that we were performing at that level in our industry. We knew that we were doing well, like within our brand. We didn't know that we were doing that at that level and so, but that's also like when you get an award like that, one, it's like you don't get an award like that unless you have an incredible group of people, because it's like, I wasn't the one that was producing to get that award. It's all the amazing people that we have with us. And so that makes you examine, okay, well, why are they with us? And are we doing everything we can to continue to support them so that we're all continuing to grow? And then I would say there's been other times where, I have like one specific time where everything was great, everything's growing, the numbers, like if you were looking at it on a piece of paper, it looks, but I felt internally there's like something's missing, there's something more. And I kind of started to lean into that. Like, why am I feeling that if I can see that we're growing, everything's on track, we're performing well, and what it was is that I had this desire to give back, to be involved in community. I would always say that I want my business to be a resource to the community. Like from the time I started, that would always be like one of the things that I would pray is that my business is a resource to the community. And when you're in business, our business comes from the community. And it can't be a one-sided relationship. And I see so many businesses that take from our community and they don't give back. That's not a healthy relationship.
Right.
It should go both ways. And so in that particular journey where I was feeling like there's something missing, it just doesn't feel, I would do some things to give back, but I hadn't really found what I was extremely passionate about, and I hadn't really tied it to my business. And so in that, trying to figure out, okay, what is this? And sometimes I tell people, like, when you're feeling like something's missing or you're feeling, that's an invitation for you to start digging to see what that is. And what I found was, just like how I was talking about, like your business being an expression of you, I was putting that together, and that's what was missing was, yes, I have this business that functions and it's growing and we're doing numbers, but it is not expressing who I am designed and created to be.
Right.
And so once I put that piece in, I didn't feel that way anymore. So now it's like we're having success and I'm feeling great about it because it's an expression of who I am, who I'm created to be. My business is me. Like it's part of what I'm bringing into this world.
It's interesting avenue that you go down, because I've been dealing with that a lot personally lately is, well, why? Like, yeah, everything's booming, everything's good, but what's the point? Like I said earlier, it's got to be more than money.
Yeah.
And yes, we're impacting our employees and our families and all that, but same thing. There's something missing. What is it? And we're in the middle of starting a foundation right now that I'm hoping is going to bring that circle back. So that sounds like some optimism for me that it's going to help with that problem. So that'll be fun.
It did,
fun
and
to watch.
it fueled the fire for it, like once I realized what it was. So, and then you want to know what else is like super powerful about that is once I figured that out for me, I could start sharing that with the agents, and then they started doing it with their business. Now you are multiplying the impact because now not only am I having impact for what I'm passionate about, what I care about, but I'm talking to other agents, finding out what are you passionate about? How do we bring that into the world? How do we do that? And amazing things have happened. And so now it's not just me, it's the hundreds of agents that are with me.
Right.
And so now we're all doing that. Can you imagine if every business did that? Like how many problems would be solved in this world? Like if you have the business owner do it, that's one thing. But then like if you have
all the people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It'd be a lot.
Yes. It'd be pretty powerful.
Impact. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's do it.
I'm all over it. I love it. Gets me excited. My team may not handle me being much more on fire, but we're going to find out.
Well, it's contagious, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. It turns into an inferno with everybody.
That's right. That's right. All consuming.
Yeah. Well, how do you handle the pressure when you're responsible not just for yourself, but for all these other people as well?
The thing is, there's a lot of layers to that. I think a lot of times, like by putting those systems in place and like having, and this is not stuff that we had from the beginning. We kind of had to build everything. So once you start to do that, we start to have, and once you're starting to know everybody, we have a better feel. And so it's not as scary, you're not as at much risk when you've got systems in place to make sure that everybody's doing what they need to do, that our compliance and supervision and all of that stuff is happening. And so we have things in place that kind of reduce that risk. So that's very helpful. And then just knowing who you're working with is also risk reduction in of itself.
And once you have the systems and processes and culture and everything in place, a lot of it, their own success is kind of on their shoulders at some point. You know, you give them all the tools, but they've got to assemble the part.
And then we start attracting people. We are known in our community as that real estate brokerage that's always like giving back, because so many of our agents are doing that. And so other people see that. They see the culture. Like they're like, oh, you guys are always having fun. You guys are always together. It starts attracting people that have those same values. And so you're also growing from just being you.
How has your definition of success evolved from when you started until now?
Definitely kind of what we were talking about, where coming from a sales background, there's so much emphasis on numbers and tracking numbers. And obviously we're in business. We want to know what our numbers are, and we want to make sure that we can pay the bills and pay our people and do all the things that we want to do from the business. So there is an importance to that. But again, I think really starting to see people in our organization start to create these businesses where they're able to build legacy, where they're having success, and then they're also finding out who they are, expressing that. To me, that is much more successful than, And then there's so many other things. Like I've had so many of my agents go out and start their own brokerages, and then because they were in that environment, they've incorporated a lot of things into, we have like 9 or 10 agents who now have brokerages, and they're doing things that are like in their brokerages, they're giving back to community, and they're gathering like a whole nother group of people, and they have values, and they're putting their own personality and their own design into that. And again, you get this multiplication, you get expansion. And so I think having people that have gone out to create their own brokerages. And for some of them, I went on as their broker for them until they were able to, do what they needed to do, or I still mentor coach some of them. I've spoken at events with some of them. And so we're still connected, even though that they've moved on, they're building their own thing, but they're taking a lot of what they learned with us and then building on that and adding their own personality to that.
Cool. What's a failure or a setback that you've had that's taught you more than any kind of award ever would?
Oh, man. During that recession, there was like a time where, we got behind on our mortgage, and I was having to make decisions like, hey, I got all these bills, and I got this little bit of money. I'm like, what am I going to do? And then
bill bingo.
Yes, and even, bill bingo, yes. And even, and this is something that a lot of people don't typically share, and I wish more people would have, because we had put, at the time, it was a lot of our money. It was to start this whole thing, and then it took longer, so you're putting more money in. And so I would have these moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, did I do the right thing? Did I, and I'm like, should I, am I going to dig us deeper? Do I, and I would have to have these conversations and make some really tough decisions. And even though the business did not fail per se, I felt like I was failing because I couldn't pay all the bills. I was, trying to, figure things out. And also because I felt like we had so much of our family money at risk. And so it felt like a failure. And I think there's several lessons in that I learned. One is just being able to have the conversations with my husband was my biggest support during that. So being able to talk to him, and to this day, anytime I'm trying to problem solve something, I always bring it to him because it impacts all of us, you know? And so I think for a while I was like just kind of holding that in. So being able to talk to him and getting that support really helped me to make decisions to move things forward. You know, there's been times where like we decided, okay, I would come up with a plan and then we'd put more money in and it would pay off, you know. So, but I learned a lot as far as like just, you know, being able to speak with him on that, but also really taking the time to analyze and having, like, some people will sit in that and just like keep hoping it's going to get better, hope it's going to. So it was like really coming up with a plan immediately and then executing the plan and really taking the moment to be like, okay, is this something that we continue doing?
Yeah.
And not being afraid to make that decision, and then whatever decision, go with it 100% and make sure that it gets implemented to work. So
I don't remember who coined it originally, but hope is not a strategy, right?
Right. But yes, but I run into a lot of people that,
a lot of people,
yes, like
I
they're,
hope it works out.
yes, or they get overwhelmed with, which I understand. Sometimes you just get overwhelmed with everything that you end up in indecision and you can't make a decision. So it's problem solving it, making the decision, and then I 1000% believed, like, when I made that decision, I'm like, okay, I have to look at what the solution is. I 1000% believed and executed on that solution, went after it, made it happen.
That feeling, though, whenever you do have like all your eggs in that basket and
Yeah.
it's not working and you're
All
like,
your money.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like, what did we do
Yes,
here?
it's like, oh, my life savings, and what are we going to do now?
It's
Yes,
really hard not to second guess yourself when you're in that spot.
It is. It is. Another thing that I've learned, like just being an entrepreneur myself and working with so many entrepreneurs, because real estate agents are all, they're 1099 contractors, they're independent, they've got their own businesses, is that we naturally are super intuitive. And so just like we were talking about reading the books and realizing there's a solution in that, or getting really still and really focusing on something. And you will hear so many stories where, you know, like an entrepreneur will say something like, you know, everybody said to do this and I did that. And they're the ones that have the excess. It's that, it's like we have, like, some people call it like, you know, it's like, oh, I just felt it in my gut or whatever. We're super intuitive. It's like a gift for the people that are entrepreneurs. And like, if we can learn how to partner with that. And a lot of times, I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I've had solutions given to me in dreams. You know, but I'm asking for it. Like, I'm praying for that. I'm meditating on that. I'm like, or even sometimes like I'm just driving, but I'm in that, you know, you're in that space where you're not, oh my gosh, you know, everything's happening, but you're in this space where you're not, and the solution drops in.
You get when you're asleep and when you're driving, I do the same thing in both situations, where that's the only time that my brain slows down long enough to let something come in. And countless number of times I've like sat out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning and been like, oh, that's it.
You will hear that from so many entrepreneurs. One of the real estate brands, his whole thing was he woke up in the middle of the night, he wrote it all out, and it was like what he ended up launching as a real estate brand. But again, it's not something that you hear a lot of people talk about, but it is part of our entrepreneurial skill set gifted to us. And it is learning how to quiet it, because as an entrepreneur, I think naturally we're like, okay, what's next? Let me solve that problem. Let me do this. And so when all that's happening, there's no room for those intuitive thoughts. So as entrepreneurs, I think it's really important to put things into practice that allow space for that, and to also set intention around that. Because instead of me racking my brain and having stress and losing sleep, I would much rather have a dream that's like, there's your answer, do that, you know, or have it like just drop into my head, or like,
be still long enough to let it happen.
Exactly.
That's a discipline in its own right for people that aren't good at it. Like me, I'm not good at sitting still and not thinking. So the discipline to just sit there and empty your head and stop thinking for a minute and give it time, and almost every single time, that's all you need to do to get the answer.
I think it's a great skill set and practice for entrepreneurs. I was telling you, we have that call on Monday morning, And it started after we read, I don't know if you read the book Miracle Morning, but it started after we read Miracle Morning. And one of the things that creates your miracle morning is silence. And so that can be prayer, that could be meditation, it could just be just being still. But you start your day with these few things, and that's one of them, and that's one of the things that we actually talk about. And we talk about journaling, just gratitude, like starting your day and or ending your day with gratitude. It changes everything. So
It's funny how the things that have been around for thousands of years are the things that still work the best, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Your offices have produced multiple Rookie of the Year winners. What are you doing different with your new agents that's creating the space for that to happen?
That actually has been another thing that attracts a lot of people to us. No one else in our market has done it as many times as we have, like not even close.
That's
awesome. And it's one of the things that we're super proud of, to have brand new agents come in and be the highest producing rookie in our board. That's what they have to do to win Rookie of the Year. And again, it really comes in when my brother came in, one of the things that he really helped me with was to hone in processes. And so we've created onboarding that people are able to like jump in and get running. The other thing that is different with us is that after they get to a certain point, they do a one-on-one with either me or someone on my staff. And the reason that they're doing the one-on-one is we're trying to find out who they are, what are their strengths, because there's so many different ways to do real estate. And we want to take, like, what's your experience? What have you done? What do you love? Tell me about you. So we want to find out who they are.
Right.
And then we're helping them create a business that draws on, again, who they are, what their strengths are, and their expression of business into the world. And that's different for everyone. Where most real estate companies come in, take this training, and then you do 1, 2, 3. And that doesn't work for everybody. So because we're not all the same, and we're not going to all do it the same. So I think having that one-on-one, putting a focus on them, having that servant heart is just so different from what most real estate agents are experiencing.
So when you have a brand new agent that shows up at your office, what's the first thing you try to instill in them?
So one of the things in real estate is a lot of people don't understand the difference between employee and 1099, and that you're in business for yourself. So that's something that we always want to make sure that everybody knows, that basically in this business, it's really up to you. Because people come in and they're thinking they're like an employee, and we're going to tell them exactly what to do, how to do it, and
nope.
It doesn't work like that. And so getting them to understand that they're in business and that they need to run it and treat it like a business. And then we basically give them a track to run on. These are the things that you need to do. We give them step by step. They have support along the way. They have check-ins. And because they're 1099, you don't get that in a lot of companies.
Right.
It's like you show up and
it's your own thing.
It's your business. It's your business. Yeah. Here's some stuff, but go, you figure it out. But they have an incredible amount of support. So we're able to get them up and running quickly because there's a track to run on, because we're looking at them as individuals and we're helping them figure it out.
How do you identify the individuals with high potential early on?
One way is, a lot of times when you're talking to them, you'll know who's got that entrepreneurial mindset. And typically the people that have done other entrepreneurial things, they absolutely get it out the gate. Sometimes it's a process. Sometimes we don't know right away. There are a lot of times, though, when the ones that you can really see right away are the ones that there's just something about an entrepreneur. They've got a spark, and they what they say and what they're going after. It's just really different. So when you've got someone that's got a true entrepreneurial spirit, you always know, okay, that's someone that is going to do well, be successful. And that doesn't mean that there are other people they're all different types of personalities and all different types of goals, and they can be successful as well. But if you're talking like that first one-on-one meeting, it's definitely that entrepreneur spark that you're like, oh yeah, they get it. So
A little glimmer in their eye.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Let's go.
Can you kind of walk me through a little bit of your process on how you take them from zero, brand new, to confident and producing and being a high producer? Like, I know you mentioned several times you guys have a lot of support for them. What does that look like? What does that support look
There's
like?
a lot of training because there's this, they have to go through, and it's different in every state, but you have to go through like in Maryland, I think it's 60 hours. I'm not sure what it is in other states, but you have to go through a lot of education training to just even sit for the exam and take the exam. And so a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to take the exam and then I'm going to go run and do real estate. Well, they don't teach you anything about
Right.
how to do the real estate. You just basically check the box so
Right.
you can get started. And so again, we have like an onboarding process that we go through with them. There's specific training that's all highlighted. And because they are 1099, they've got like all the stuff, but we don't force them to do
Right.
it because they're not
They're contractors,
employees.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's another indication of who's serious about the business
Who's got
is
the
how quickly
motivation.
they're trying to go through that because they're like ready to go and get started. And again, I really think when we get to that one-on-one is really where we start to put it together because in those one-on-ones, I'll give you an example. I had an agent who, in the one-on-one, we were talking about what she was passionate about because I like to get that incorporated into their business as quickly as possible. So it's her first year in the business and she's not really sure. And after a couple sessions or after a little bit of time, I finally said, okay, if I give you like $1 million, and I said, you can't spend it on, family, anything for you. You have to spend it on people or something that's going to like improve the world. What's that going to be? And so she goes, you know what? She's like, I've always wanted to help the homeless. And so I connect her with some people because we do work like that in the community. She finds that for Christmas, they're going to be at this church. She wanted them to have Christmas morning because she has like all these things that she does with her family, and it breaks her heart to see people that are on the streets that don't get to celebrate
Right.
Christmas. And so I will do one-on-ones with them as long as they do the homework and show up. And so I'm doing this one-on-one with her. I get her to partner with a local business because I think that's also important as business owners that we're helping one another grow. So she partners with a business. She makes a list. She finds out that we don't really have shelters in that area. They just like got their first one recently. So these churches will do what are called safe nights. And so she finds out where everyone's going to be. We make a list of all the things that they need. And she's sitting outside a grocery store doing a food collection of all the items that she needs because she's going to send them away with little goodie bags of food too after the event. And the manager of the grocery store is like so impressed with what she's doing. She says, we're looking to buy a house.
Oh, wow.
And we want to work with someone like you
That's
because
crazy.
of what you're doing. And one of her very first sales was doing what is inside of her heart, like
Yeah.
what she's like meant to do. And she ended up creating a whole program. She had like a chef cooking them up omelets and waffles, and they had gifts under the tree. And then she ended up moving away. She did it even bigger in Vegas, is where she moved to. So
Yeah.
she had a like even bigger event there, but she did it locally. She ended up on the news. She ended up getting press. She ended up getting transactions,
She
and
wanted to do it.
and she wasn't doing it
Yeah.
to end up on the news. Like she was in the newspaper and she was on like a news show, and she wasn't doing it for that. And when she was at the grocery store, her intention was to get things for this event, but she also got to meet all of her neighbors, and now all of her neighbors know that she's in real estate.
Right.
And she was the drop-off point, so all her neighbors were coming and dropping things off. She's getting involved with another business, and so it ends up being this big thing that now all these people know she's in real estate,
That's awesome.
right? And she's got her first deal. And she's happy
Yeah.
because
She's able
she's
to tie it
doing
all
something
together.
that she's passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool when you see people do it for the right reasons and it works out for them like that. And
Yes.
not doing it for show, for the publicity. Just
Right.
doing it because you want to, and that
Right.
comes as a byproduct. So
Right.
that's awesome. Speaking of the homeless and the generous things that she was doing, that's a big part of your business is
It is.
doing things from military and human trafficking, homeless. Why those specifically, and what are some ways that those are part and parcel to your business?
I grew up for the military stuff, very, my husband's career military, both of our dads were military. We grew up not knowing anything but that life, and our children have grown up in that. My husband's now retired, but we know what it's like to go through the deployments, to have your loved one not there when, events are happening. We know there's just so much that comes up. There's amazing things that come out of that lifestyle. The community and the military is incredible, but there's also like difficulties and hardships that we go through. So obviously we're super passionate about all the things, all the veteran programs, the Wounded Warrior, all of those things. In addition to that, we've always done things to help within our community. And I told you that I said we wanted to be in service to our community and be a resource to the community. I get calls sometimes like, hey, we need these things. Are you able to, like, we've filled grocery list for like 100 people for a couple weeks because the nonprofit didn't get some sort of funding. So we did it as a group, like all of our agents came together, which again, when you have an organization that all has that same heart and that's part of who your business is and what they're doing, you can pull people together like that. And so we've done a lot of things as a group to do things like that. And then the anti-trafficking, that again, like that all started with a dream.
Yeah.
A very, very intense, vivid dream. I actually woke my husband up and I was like, I just had this dream, and in the dream we were in Mexico. I don't know what I was doing there. I don't know what it is. I don't know when it is, but I know I'm going to Mexico, and whatever it is, I know that I was put on this earth to do that. And it wasn't until a few years later, I was at a conference, someone was speaking, they weren't even speaking about that, but they shared a story about that, and I knew, I got chills from head to toe, and I knew, I went and found that person, I'm like, tell me, you said something about this Mexico thing, tell me about that, and he told me about the organization that I serve on the board now. Nice. But my husband and I did our first trip to Mexico, and it's making me emotional, we got to meet a group of girls that had been rescued from trafficking. They're minors from 11 up to like 16. And my whole life changed. And when you talk about your business having a purpose, I'm like, I want my business to be so successful so that I can just like love on these girls. Right. And one of the things that I've wanted to do for them is, I told you, like, it's so important to me to create experiences for our children. And so there are a lot of groups that like will do a missions trip out there and visit the girls, and like, I want to do more than just visit them. I want to give them an experience. Right. So we started doing these regular trips, and I rented like a high-end movie theater. Right. And we put out a red carpet. We had the girls come in. They got to watch a movie in the recliners, and then they had wait staff come, take all their orders, serve them. They got gifts. They got pictures on the red carpet. And so I would try to do something. We had a bowling tournament one time. Before I went on Amazon and bought like medals and trophies. Yeah. And then the group that was traveling with me, we were all on teams and we were competing. And most of the girls had never seen, I mean, most of them are survivors of like sex trafficking. Yeah. And so they didn't have a childhood. And anything like that's something that they've seen on TV. So I wanted to create experiences for them. And there was one time where we were all sitting in this park, and I told you it started with a dream, and I got to like sit with these girls and tell them that they're basically a dream come true. That's crazy. I dreamt about them years before I ever met them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
really
sorry.
Instilling value in them and
yes, and helping
letting
them
know they matter, and
yes, letting them know they matter, that they're loved. I saw Alex, and I saw one of the girls that was there like on that first trip. She now has a baby. She's got a job. She's doing, that's awesome. And so some of them like are on my Facebook, send me messages and stuff like that. The organization is El Pozo de Vida. It's a U.S. based 501c3, but they operate in Mexico City. and they do so much prevention work. And when I tell you, it is so intertwined with my business. It's like it's my business that allows me to be able to create those experiences for them.
Right.
It's my business that allows me to donate when they're doing things. And it's like, if that doesn't make you feel good about your business and want you to
Go
and
successful.
yes, because you're doing something that can
The
impact
success
so
fuels
many
that.
lives and like so many future generations.
Right.
So, yeah.
What's the best way people can help with that organization?
The website is elpozodevida.org. They are in need right now. They're doing a prevention program, and they've been invited by FIFA for the World Cup because like a lot of major sporting events are actually places where a lot of trafficking happens.
Really?
And a huge part is not just like helping the girls after, it's like how do we prevent it?
Right.
And so they're creating a virtual museum with like VR goggles that help tell the stories of the girls and what people can do. It's like education, how to spot trafficking. But they have this invitation to go, but we need the funds to get everything together.
Nice.
So, yeah. And they've been awarded awards from the UN. The UN is using their model of what they do with their safe homes because they've had so much success. So it's an incredible organization. I could go on and tell you all the things that they're doing because they really are having incredible impact. And one of the big focuses is not just taking care of the girls after, and there's not just the Safe
Stopping
House
it from
program. There's some
happening,
other
yeah.
programs, yeah. But it's like it's the prevention. How do we change the laws? How do we change the culture? How do we change? So they're doing things in schools. They're doing things with hotels. They're doing stuff with Google. They're doing a lot of amazing work. So
What's the origin story of that organization? Do you know off the top of your head, like who started it and why they started
of course,
it?
yeah. Benny and Janice Yu are the co-founders of it. They were doing mission work. Benny has his own personal story that kind of helped with that, but they felt a call to Mexico, and they've been doing it for years now, and it's just grown. They have like the safe house, the transition centers, and they started doing like work with the government and just so many amazing things coming out of there. They also work with the survivors. There's a whole jewelry line. It's called Nuna Yu, and a lot of the ladies that have been out will create an entire jewelry line like seasonally, and they sell it, and all of the proceeds go for them to live. So they have a way to
Nice.
provide. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a way for them to earn their own way through
Exactly.
it. So that's
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
What would you say to any business owners out there that are waiting until they make it to start giving back?
That's something that we actually talk about often, like just even with our agents. It's one of those things like when I would talk to agents like about like what they're passionate about, what they want, it would be a conversation sometimes like, well, when I make or when I, and so one of the things that we talk about constantly is like, okay, what can we do? So there are things that we do as an entire company as far as volunteering. They can volunteer their time. One of the things is a lot of our agents are really good with social media and like they have incredible voices. You can be a voice for that organization. So even if you don't have the funds right now, you're still building to that point. Your voice and your audience is a huge benefit because so many people don't help because they don't know.
Right.
So if I'm expressing and letting them know like what problem we can solve together, people are a lot more apt to do that. So maybe I'm not the one that's got the money, but if I go to my audience and I let them know what's going on, that could be even
someone in that network is the key.
Exactly. So it's like being a voice, it's volunteering time. And then I will tell you, like, one of the biggest things is organizing. The agent, she didn't pay for all that stuff.
Right.
She used her time and collected it, but people were bringing her stuff. And They had clothes, they had backpacks and bags for them. They had Christmas gifts, they had Christmas trees, and it was all stuff that people donated, but she organized it.
Right.
And so sometimes your organizational skills are like one of the most valuable things that you can do. Maybe you can do a fundraiser. There's so many things that you can do, but automatically we typically think, I need to write a check. That
Right.
it's money. That's how I'm
not
going to
always
help.
the key.
And money's great for any of those nonprofits. There's a need for that, but you can bring that other ways and not necessarily be the one that's writing the check.
It's good. The default thing, I think, for entrepreneurs is money, though. So it's good to talk about it. And like, there's
Yeah.
a lot of other ways you can help
Oh, for sure.
before you have spare money.
Yes,
So,
and the other thing is entrepreneurs, a lot of times it's like you need to hustle something up.
yeah,
Like
they're
you
problem
can,
solvers.
yeah,
So.
exactly. We can do a fundraiser,
Mhm.
or I can lead people to a link, or I can organize something like Victoria did, where, she just brought all the people together and made sure that it happened. We can do that as an entrepreneur.
For sure. What are some daily habits that have made the biggest impact in your life?
So that was some of what I was talking about. The Miracle Morning, we've been doing that for years, and there's some things in there that are like that have been super helpful. One is the gratitude, like how it started like with about like gratitude journals for like everybody that was on the call, and we journaled for a while. I don't necessarily always journal it anymore, but just setting my day in a place of gratitude makes a huge difference instead of looking at my email and going, what fires do I need to put
Right.
out? It's totally different. It's calming. The biggest thing is like creating that space through prayer and meditation. I have so much more clarity and calm by putting those practices in, and I feel like I'm able to solve more problems. I'm able to handle more. I've learned, especially in like meditation, so many entrepreneurs, we have so many things like going through our brains like constantly. Like I remember like I laid down my head and I'm like thinking of everything that I didn't finish today and everything that I have to do tomorrow. And once I started doing that, I really felt like I got into this flow. And it's like the more I am just being me and who I was created to be instead of trying to force things, the more I feel like I'm in this flow and everything just happens. And so definitely prayer, meditation has been super important to me. Being really mindful of those like dreams and things that drop in, exploring those. Anytime I'm feeling like when we were talking about how it's like I like something feels like in the business or with, exploring that, going, okay, this is an opportunity to grow. That's how I look at that now, where it used to be like, I don't know why, something's wrong, Now it's like, okay, this is my invitation that something good's about to happen.
Yeah.
I'm about to grow into something, so let me figure out what this is, because if I feel like there's something that's not right or something that's missing, this is probably something that is for me now in this moment.
Right.
So let me figure that out as fast as I can.
Yeah.
So
Just having the confidence not to play a character, right? Just to be who you really are and lean into it.
Yeah.
What's something you would tell your younger self on day one of your career?
Something I would tell myself. I think when it comes to like the real estate part of my career, I had a mentor tell me that you knew everything you needed to know to be successful on day one. And I think I would tell myself that, because he was like, you just need to know how to talk to people. And he was referencing that in a real estate transaction. Like, I just need to find out what that customer needs and, deliver that for them. But now, looking back, I'm like, that's in everything. It's like, if I'm talking to the agents and like really listening to them, they're going to be more successful, like with the business partners. So it's like having that confidence to know, and I know in a way it could sound arrogant that you know everything you need to know. It's not in that. It's just that we all have this tremendous amount of knowledge, skill, talent, things that are part of our design that we don't always recognize.
Right.
And so really, you really do know everything you need to know to be successful. You may have to build on it, but you've already got it in you. It's
Right.
part of who you are. It's part of your design.
Just gotta figure out how to extract it, huh?
Yes, yes, and how to build on it and
Get it out.
grow it. Yep.
So if you had a billboard that everyone in the world would see, what would it say?
You know how, like, I don't know if you've ever driven to Florida on 95, but there's these billboards too. I forgot what that place is called, but it's like one billboard after another.
It's like the one for the big Texan going down.
Yeah. Yes. I think I would need that instead of one, but I think I would say just be you. I think that is the most powerful thing, is that you are who you are. We are all created to be the solution to the things that are happening in this world. And we talked about like that self-development. So it's like, if I can just be who I was created to be, then I am happy, I am fulfilled, I am having impact in the lives around me, but I'm also impacting the world, because that's what I was designed and created to do. All of us were. So I really think, like, just be you and figure out. Sometimes that's a journey, figuring it all out, and but really you are amazing. You are in this world for a reason, for a purpose, and you have everything you need. So just be you, be that, and man, we'd have an amazing world if everybody could just do that.
I agree.
Realize who they are and contribute that to the world.
That's awesome. The next phase of your life, who's Bernadette Cole becoming in this next season?
That's a good one. So I just kind of did a little bit of a transition. I went from one brand to another, and in that transition, I'm now with a company called Real Broker. I'm absolutely loving it, but it has freed me up from some of the day-to-day stuff I have. They've taken on a lot of that responsibility.
Right.
And so I'm wanting to be a lot more intentional of impacting lives.
Right.
And so I've had a lot of opportunities to speak. And so speaking more is one of the things that I want to do, but I want to have impact with the organizations that I'm working with. So I'm really working on some things, and I'm trying to figure out some things, like for nonprofits, like how do we take entrepreneurial ideas and how, instead of these nonprofits having to wait for the people to write the checks and the things, like what kind of businesses can we create with these nonprofits
that fuel it?
Yes. And so that's something that I've kind of been working on and that I'm looking forward to. But I really want to do more things to impact more lives and impact this world, especially through giving back. And
it's a noble adventure.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm excited.
Is there
I'm super excited about it.
Anything else you want to hit on, cover?
I think I just want to encourage everyone out there. So many of us have dreams and things that we want to do. And a lot of times, again, we've been talking about design and who you are. And a lot of times it's like, those are clues. I just want to encourage you to start exploring that. So many of the things that our agents are doing as far as giving back, they already had a feel for that. They already like, oh, I want to when I get that money was a lot of it. Exactly. I want to be able to do this, or I want to be able to do that. And a lot of times we let fear kind of squash those dreams. And so I just want to encourage people to move past that fear and just start exploring. I wasn't sure, I had no knowledge of the anti-trafficking thing. I knew I had this dream, and I knew that whatever this thing was that, but I didn't know anything about it. And I'm like, but let me check it out, because obviously there's something there. So let me just check it out. And that's kind of what I encourage the agents to do. It's like, okay, well, if you feel that, let's go see what that's like. Let's see what we can do. Let's check that out. And so I've seen fear stop so many people from success. And a lot of times it's like, the fear is for something that is a possibility so far in the future. But if I just take the first step, it's really, there's not that, it's not like I'm jumping off of mountains or whatever. It's like all I have to do is take that first step. So I just want to encourage you to take the first step and push past the fear. There's so many other entrepreneurs out there that are stuck in 9-to-5 jobs that they hate.
Yeah.
When that's not what they were designed to do. And it's the fear that keeps them from moving out and being themselves and bringing who they were created to be into the world. Yeah. And so you entrepreneurs out there, take that step. You're designed for it. You're built for it. Do it.
Do you have any tools or techniques that you've used or that you would recommend for people that are feeling stuck in that kind of fear-based decision making, how they break through it and get to the other side of it?
Yeah, I mean, I have so many
just do
stories.
it.
Yeah, it is. It's like, just do it. And I know that's like easy to say. It's a lot easier to say. I think sometimes we get overwhelmed all the what if, when it's like most of the time, all I need to do is take one step.
Yeah.
And so just taking that first step, I know I've gone through it like so many different ways. I know like you interviewed my husband. There was a time where he was going from a corporate position to a flying position that was going to be a fraction of what he was making.
Right.
And so we talked so much about it because we were talking about setting that intention, praying, being still. We did a lot of that. And we finally were like, okay, no, this is something we're supposed to do. And so just doing that can make a difference. And so we were like, okay, let's do it. And the minute we did it, I ended up with multiple transactions that like paid our bills for that, like created that deficit. And then one of my friends was like, hey, I got this property. It's a flip and we need X amount of money. And if you want to come in on it. And I was like, man, that'd be a good, that would like really help. But I don't have it because of this. And then literally he comes home, I tell him, and a check came in because his VA benefits were calculated incorrectly. It was like a check for like 5 years of him being paid incorrectly. Came in, and it was literally within a couple $100s of what we needed to do this deal. And so it's like a process, and it's like you're getting these like, pay attention to the signs and pay attention to the confirmations that, so because for us, all of that was, okay, the day you quit, we get deals and we're taken care of. And then the day this opportunity comes in, a check shows up.
Right.
Okay, I think we're on the right track.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, like everything that we had been feeling before we took that step was all confirmed.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is to not be overwhelmed with things like, and one of the things that I say to my agents is, tell yourself the truth. Because a lot of times we can, like we'll say, oh, I don't have time for that or whatever. No, the truth is I'm choosing not to do that in this moment.
Right.
And is that the best choice for me? And it's the same thing when I'm trying to make these decisions, you're just making up stories in your head on why you shouldn't do something. But what's the truth of me taking that step?
Yeah.
Could that get me closer to this life that I'm dreaming about? Could that get me closer to me doing like what's been in my heart and what I'm dreaming about, what I want to do, what I want to create, what I want to be in this world? And if it's getting me closer, then the truth is it gets me closer. So take the step and not believe all the stories that you're creating that are not true.
Yeah.
So
and one that's been effective for me, walking people through it and walking myself through it, is if there's a fear-based decision where you're like worried about all these what ifs.
What if?
Just go ahead. People get to the fear and then they stop, and that's the end of it.
Right.
Well, go to the next step. Okay, let's say that fear comes true. What is actually the outcome of that fear? Let's just game plan it all the way out. And by the time you get through the whole end of it, it's like, oh, well, I guess it wouldn't be that bad anyway.
Everything's solvable.
Like,
Yes,
you're
it's
like,
all
well,
solvable at the end of the day.
You just work through each one of those fear-based decisions, and at the end of the day, you're like, okay.
And for every what if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
there's
a
like, well, what if it does?
10 more what if it does.
Yeah. And what if it does multiplied?
Yeah.
Well, what if it does but we're not saying any of those things.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're thinking of every reason not to do something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate the time. It's been a great discussion.
Yeah.
I sure appreciate you being here. People want to reach out to you, connect with you. What's the best way for them to do that?
You can find me on social media.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm Bernadette Cole on Facebook and BernaB29 on Instagram.
We'll throw those links in the description on the show.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you guys being here for another episode. It's been a great discussion. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow Flyin High with Travis Lamance on YouTube and all the other major platforms, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been cleared for takeoff. You are now flying high with Travis Lamance.